Hello there, good evening, and thanks for joining us on today's news bulletin. This is the evening news right from our studios at the John Evans 50th Mills High Street in Accra. We are also streaming live on Facebook at Adoatv Ghana, on YouTube at Adoatv GH, and around the world at adoanewsonline.com. The news is proudly sponsored by Asatec Roofing Sheet and Cookware, Migo Purified Drinking Water, Verna Natural Mineral Water, and Blue City Ties and Accessories. Remember, this is where we give to you trending issues that made headlines throughout the week in 30 minutes. My name is Jonathan Amma. Now, coming up in this bulletin, following Akufo-Addo's recent spending, Mr. Brian Achampon has stated that the security of the president shouldn't be politicized. Later in health-related issues, death toll rises to 34 in the country following the outbreak of yellow fever. In the world of business, Bank of Ghana maintains inflation stance. We have details of that and more right in the news bulletin. Do stay. Thanks for staying with us. Remember, this is your hub of comprehensive and compendious news. My name is Jonathan. I'm now to our very first story. The chairman of Parliamentary Select Committee of Foreign Affairs, Brian Achampon, has justified his reason for directing the National Security Minister not to make known the details of the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on his recent trips. According to him, the security of the state and the President shouldn't be politicized. He says the details of the presidential trips should be classified as a top priority and a secret. He went on further to state that the cost and the number of persons involved in the presidential travel shouldn't be discussed on the floor of Parliament.
What it costs to put the 40,000 police people on the streets to protect you, what it costs to put the military to protect you, what the sovereignty of the state, what it costs to put the immigration people at our borders, what it costs to secure you and the president are not matters that you can just wave that these are hard times and therefore we should let the president take throttle. You can't lift the conversation to this level. And I'm saying that, yes, we can do politics about a lot of things, but when it comes to the security of the state, the security of you and I, the security of the president, presidential travels, we shouldn't lift it to the president is bathing in air, and when you are pounding fufu, the president's water, the rain water that is coming. I mean, this is so elementary, and we're treating it as a joke. And people are running with it because of our understanding of security. And I'm saying that and if anybody in the security setup will listen, they should reclassify, if they have not already done so, they should reclassify all this information to top secret, which means that you and I cannot have access to it. At a certain time, they can declassify it and we can have access to it. Aircraft or the type of vehicle are not matters that we can discuss in the public domain. Bear in mind that these aircrafts, presidential aircrafts, they fly at 13,000 feet above sea level. The highest probably they go, because of their size, maybe about 20. They don't reach the 39,000, 40,000 feet above sea level that commercial aircrafts fly. So we have to be sensitive. If the president decides that today I need to make a quick trip to Sierra Leone, I need to make a quick trip to Mali, even if he decides to go with a presidential draft, using flight tracker, you will know that this is a tail number of Ghana's presidential flight, and you are able to track it. Is that how we want to expose our president to? And if in the event that we need to get either a private arrangement, a private jet, or any other arrangement, it should be one that is equipped that the president can function when he's even in the air. And this is standard presidential fleet arrangement. The president, when in the air, still should be able to function as a head of state. So the cost, the number
So that was Mr. Brian Achampon, Chairman of Parliamentary Select Committee on Foreign Affairs. Now let's still stay in a related development, but on a rebuttal from Mr. Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tongo. Mr. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa has indicated that the Chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee, Mr. Brian Achampon, is arrogating to himself powers he does not have, and his response about the presidential travels without official jet is an affront in Parliament. This comes after Brian Achampon, speaking on the 2022 budget, indicated that he had advised the National Security Minister to keep information about the president's travel a secret, even after Honorable Okujeto filed urgent questions demanding a disclosure of full count and cost of the presidential travels without official jet.
So this is going to be a brief interaction. We want to respond to the statements made by the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Honorable Brian Achampon, in which he claims that he has advised the National Security Minister not to respond to the question we have filed relating to the President's profligate, ostentatious, extravagant and cyberitic travels, which, as you know, we in the NDC caucus in Parliament have raised strong objection about, because it is wasteful, it is totally unconscionable and unpardonable to have a presidential jet which is in pristine condition, to leave the jet, to abandon the jet on the tarmac, and to be renting expensive chartered aircrafts. Now, yesterday we heard from the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee claiming that he has advised the National Security Minister not to respond to the question. First of all, we want to make the point very clearly that that statement is an affront to Parliament. It is an undermine of the authority of the Speaker of Parliament. Order 66.1 of our standing orders is very, very clear. And for the avoidance of doubt, I want to read that provision. Order 66.1 provides, Mr. Speaker shall be the sole judge of the admissibility of a question. So no member of Parliament, no other person than the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Speaker, admits a question. And the question in issue will relate to the President's May travels to Belgium, France, and South Africa. It's a question that has been duly admitted by the Speaker. It does not lie in the mouth of the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee to advise the minister, who only last week was expected to respond to that question. And you know the history. After weeks of government, prevaricating and pussyfooting, the finance minister came and told us that he doesn't have the full, he's not seized with the information on the cost of the travels, and that we should go to the National Security Minister. The National Security Minister was eventually programmed to respond last week. The National Security Minister sent a statement to Parliament, communication to Parliament, that he has had to travel. And so we'll be seeking another convenient time to come respond. At no point did the National Security Minister indicate that the information on the cost of the President's travel has been classified as top secret. And so he will not respond to the Speaker's summons to come answer our question. So we want to state clearly that the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee is totally out of order. He is arrogating to himself powers that he does not have. He must stay clear of the Speaker's authority under Order 66.1. Yes. The other point we want to emphasize is that at a time that this government has submitted a budget and is asking the people of this country, who are already under excruciating hardship, who are suffering, the government is demanding more taxes from an already burdened Ghanaian populace, we want to state very clearly that we are not accepting this new found position. The Ghanaian people will not accept this. You want more taxes, you must be accountable. And this is another reason why we in the NDC caucus are clear and unambiguous that we will not support the 2022 budget. We will not support it. We are opposed to it because of the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency. And you see it all around you, even in the Auditor General's report. And that is exactly what the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee has done. So let's be very clear. The position of the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee remains an undermine of the Speaker's authority. It flouts our standing orders. It is an affront to Parliament. It's not a position of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We have not met. It's not a position of this House. It is of no effect, and we expect the National Security Minister to respond to the Speaker's summons and come answer the questions that he must respond
in Parliament, but in some other development in the Sputnik V vaccine saga, Health Minister Honorable Kwekwajuman Menu has said he has grieved from his quest to ensure that the larger population of Ghana gets vaccinated against the dreaded coronavirus. According to the Health Minister, while he was in a haste in searching for vaccines, given the times the country found itself, his own colleagues in Parliament criticized him for not seeking approval from Parliament.
I'm saying that you have forgotten about COVID so soon. If you had been afflicted with COVID, probably you remember. But thank God that most of us weren't there. So let us be very factual. Let us be very passionate. And when we have a problem created, not by any of us, but by nature and from the rest of the world, we think about how we together can put our heads together and resolve the matter. Mr. Speaker, I'm so amazed. When I was rushing to get the vaccines, to do vaccination very quickly to meet our deployment targets, I was found culpable of not having come to Parliament, and I've been lambasted to the extent that now I don't have any image in this country. Your own colleague in the chamber. Now you stand up and tell me that our vaccination has been very slow. Mr. Speaker, we did a deployment plan that Honorable Atando has got a copy. That is what made Ghana receive the first consignment of vaccines in the whole world, because we submitted our plan number 1. And they looked at it and started giving it to other countries even to copy. And that is what gave us the first consignment of 600,000 AstraZeneca vaccines in February. We started deploying very quickly in March. And when that got finished, India, where we were supposed to take the COVID vaccines from, had blocked its export drive so that we couldn't get vaccines any longer. And between April and August, Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that we never received a single dose of vaccines from anywhere, apart from the COVID that I negotiated for, and we got the first 21,000, and even that, the guy couldn't supply, which made us cancel the contract. So what crime was this? And now you come and sit here and say that government couldn't meet its own target by vaccinating 17 million people by now. Where could we have got the vaccines from? Where could we have got the vaccines from?
Thanks for staying with us. Now, away from that, Member of Parliament for Inshire, so Stephen Amwa, has expressed disappointment in the minority for their recent actions and inactions in what he describes as impediment to the development of Ghana. In a press conference in Parliament, the NPP legislator indicated that one of the most dangerous things in society is when decision-making processes is being influenced by deception.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just 2 issues to discuss, very short, with you. And I hope they'll be given the needed prominence, because one of the most dangerous things in every society is when decision-making processes are being actually influenced by deception, lies, twisting of issues, propaganda, making the general public making decisions that will rather have adverse effect or impact on the nation. It's very dangerous. And its effect is cross-sectional. It doesn't matter one social stratum. And I think it's extremely important we take this thing out of politics and deal with facts and figures. In the first place, I would like to address the recent actions and inactions and positions of our brothers from the minority side in Parliament. It is crystal clear that they are demonstrating that because of the seemingly balance in Parliament, they want to put impediments in our ways going forward as a country, trying to disrupt all activities, impede everything about development and the progress of this country. And I think it is time we took these behaviors extremely serious, not as MPP or NDC, but even the media and the general public. I would like to let Ghanaians know that the NDC brothers who claim they love Ghana, who claim they are social democrats, who claim they are supposed to do pro-poor policies to enhance on the betterment of Ghanaians, upliftment of our standard of living, it is highly deceptive. It's not true. It's the opposite. One issue. Just recently, they were putting pressure on us to reduce taxes. That there's so much hardship that, in fact, it is an issue of urgency and emergency. They demonstrated that MPP, we are wicked, the way there's hardship. Then we decided to actually withdraw Road 2. They counted 11 tax components. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 11. Between 2014 and 2016, this is NDC's budget. Go and read. 26 taxes, either introduced, increased, or restored taxes that had been cancelled by the NDC. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this thing. Let's all be smart. They cannot always take us for granted. When my brother I respect so much, ranking member, Honorable Adoa on the floor yesterday, you remember that this economy is sick. And that the yield tax has 3 legs that they are against. 1, remittances are taxed. Remittances. 2, we are not taxing profit. The third thing is that it is a transfer tax. Please, financial services tax. It's an electronic tax. It's a transfer tax. They were taxing remittances. What I'm saying is that there's hardship. Is there any time in Ghana we say there's no hardship? Let's be honest with ourselves. Is there any time? So we have to be serious for once. Allah, because I'm serious today, because everywhere you go, even some MPP guys are complaining because they have been misinformed. And any generation that is informed and deceived to make decisions, they are dead. In the Bible, it says that the young prophet was lied to by the old prophet because he believed he died. Deception kills society. Deception destroys society. Deception actually puts society in a deplorable state that can never be reversed. All that we are saying is that the best way to manage the congested fiscal space of this country, i.e. revenue generation, i.e. debt management, i.e. GDP growth, for long-term economic growth and stability, it is this one. Our last year shortfalls.
Interesting. Let's tilt ourselves a bit from politics and treat some health-related matters. The Savannah Regional Health Directorate has revealed that 34 people have so far died from the recent outbreak of yellow fever in the Savannah region. This was made known during a stakeholders engagement to update the public on the outbreak of the disease and the response activities implemented to combat the spread of the virus in Damongo in the West Gonja district of the Savannah region.
It was also revealed at the stakeholders meeting that all the 7 districts in the region have recorded cases of yellow fever, with the West Gonja municipal recording the highest number of cases.
Reported cases from Sola Tuna Kalba, Bole district, and Central Gonja district. So I must say that for now, each of the 7 districts have reported cases. We have a total of 184 suspected cases. The death toll now is 34, 13 from West Gonja, 8 from North Gonja, 3 for the others, and 1 for North East Gonja and East Gonja. The response is still the same. We are looking at communities that have reported cases and vaccinating successful people against the disease. We are checking on their immunization status and vaccinating all those who haven't been vaccinated against the disease. And we have cleared those communities in West Gonja and North Gonja. And we are continuing with the exercise too in the rest of the districts in the region. And so far, we initially received a total of 50,300 doses of yellow fever vaccines, and we've used that. We have used part of our routine vaccines, and we have requested for 50,000 more doses to help cover these places.
Dr. Chrysanthus Kubio spoke to the media on the state of the disease outbreak in the region.
It is important for you to have the Aedes mosquito to transmit the virus. And with the studies that have been done in our region, we've realized that the parameters are there. The Aedes mosquitoes too are also there. As part of the investigation and the response, we had a team from Noguchi, the Memorial Institute of Medical Research, who took some samples in some of these affected communities and told us that the Aedes mosquito is present. And looking at the forest nature of the region, is ripe for the breeding of the mosquito. And because we also have the primates in the region, once they harbor the virus and the one that will transmit is also available, it means that any person who is not protected against the yellow fever disease is susceptible once the virus is in the environment. And that is why we are encouraging all those who haven't received the vaccine to take the vaccine so that we can help prevent further spread of the disease.
In all 19
cautious so as not to fall prey to the deadly yellow fever virus. Now, away from that, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection through the Domestic Violence Secretariat with support from the United Nations in Ghana, European Union in Ghana, Oxfam in Ghana and other partners has launched a media campaign to mark this year's 16 days of activism against sexual and gender-based violence with a pledge to challenge every form of violence against women and girls. The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is an annual international campaign that kicks off on 25th November, which is the day set aside for the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. This year's campaign is themed Orange the World End Violence Against Women Now.
The theme aims to bring together civil society and women's rights organizations, as well as the UN system, the Action Coalition on Gender-Based Violence, and government partners to advocate for inclusive, comprehensive, and long-term strategies, programs, and resources to prevent and eliminate violence against women and girls. It is said that violence against women and girls continues to be a barrier to gender equality in most countries around the world, including Ghana, despite the numerous ongoing programs and interventions. The adverse consequences of violence on battered women and girls in relation to their health, psychological and emotional well-being compromise and undermine their development. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, emerging data has shown that all types of violence against women and girls, particularly domestic violence, have intensified, and the world was unprepared to respond to its rapid escalation. In addition, the current global context of violent conflicts, humanitarian crisis, and increasing climate-related disasters have further intensified violence against women, ringing alarms on the need to urgently act on this scourge. However, there is also evidence that ending violence against women and girls is possible with a comprehensive approach that tackles the root causes, transforms harmful social norms, provides services for survivors, and ends impunity. Generation Equality Forum has created unprecedented momentum and commitment to prevent and eliminate violence against women and girls. The Ministry of Health, Children and Social Protection, hence through the Domestic Violence Secretariat (DVS), with support from the United Nations in Ghana, European Union in Ghana, Oxfam in Ghana, and other partners organized, seeks to exonerate Ghanaian women and girls from all forms of violence.
Thanks for staying with us. Now in the world of business, the Bank of Ghana has maintained its stance on consumer inflation, projecting it to remain within the medium-term target of 8% with a band of plus or minus 2% in the near term, barring any unforeseen shocks. This, per the bank, will broadly be driven by food prices, which reflect recent supply stocks that are expected to put upwards pressure on food prices. The recent upsurge in inflation of the past few months, reaching 11% in October 2021, since May 2021 low of 7.5%.
The Bank of Ghana has maintained its stand on consumer inflation, projecting it to remain within the medium-term target of 8% with a band of plus or minus 2% in the near term, bearing any unforeseen shocks. This, per the bank, will broadly be driven by food prices, which reflect in recent supply shocks that are expected to put upward pressure on food prices. Food inflation is forecast to remain elevated in the near term before declining to the central path in the medium term. In contrast, non-food inflation is expected to stay close to central path in the outlook. One section of the central bank's September 2021 inflation outlook and analyze reads. Per the Ghana Statistical Service data, inflation had slowed down to 7.5% in May 2021 from 10.3% in February this year. Since then, it has reverted back to the pandemic levels, largely on the back of increasing non-food inflation. Production costs in both food and non-food sectors are forecast to remain low due to the lower domestic input cost, but over the medium term, production costs are projected to gradually increase as the economy recovers. However, the latest inflation data from the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that food's contribution to overall inflation has declined, contributing less than half of overall inflation. Food inflation's contribution to total inflation further dropped from 48.6% last month to 44.9% in October 2021. But on a monthly basis, food inflation was negative 0.3%, which is lower than the 12-month national average month-on-month inflation rate. In the outlook, activity is expected to improve as businesses explore innovative ways of adjusting the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The bank projects the main upside risk to inflation in the outlook include elevated global food inflation pressure on domestic food prices and high ex-pump prices.
Thanks for staying with us. This is how far would come to you with the weekend's edition of the evening news right from our studios at the John Evans Fifiata Mills High Street in Accra. For more news, do well to log on to our website on adoanewsonline.com. Until then, my name is Jonathan. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the rest of our program.